Hi, I'm Kate and welcome to FARMBREAD. So today I have a really special treat for you. I'm going to show you how to make an easy and delicious loaf of sourdough using your Ankarsrum mixer and also incorporating fresh milled flours. We have a really yummy combination of freshly milled flours today. So I'm going to be using rye, white wheat, and semolina. And by blending it with bread flour, we'll be able to get a nice oven spring and a soft and airy crumb. I don't know if you like sesame seeds as much as I do. To top the loaf off, I'm going to be rolling it around in sesame seeds, which is going to give it a really delicious toasted sesame seed crust. The whole process takes about a day and a half, so definitely plan ahead. I've been experimenting a lot lately with the Ankarsrum and sourdough, especially with the dough roller and the dough hook. At the end of the day, I feel like they both work really well. However, if you are just starting out with your Ankarsrum, I would definitely suggest just use the dough roller to get started. I feel the hook is a little bit less user-friendly than the dough roller. The dough roller has really helped me get comfortable with the Ankarsrum to be at a point where I can really play around with both the hook and the roller now and compare and contrast each other. And for that reason, I'm actually gonna use the dough roller for this recipe. All right, let's get started.
Welcome to FARMBREAD. I'm Kate and I make simple, delicious artisan breads here on our little backyard farm. Making bread doesn't need to be complicated. Do not overthink it. Trust your instincts, take some risks, and have fun in the process. And always remember, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
I am going to place our Ankarsrum mixer bowl onto a kitchen scale. And so I am just going to measure everything on the scale first, and then I will bring the bowl over to the Ankarsrum. It just makes life a lot easier. So I'm going to zero out my scale to grams, and I'm going to add 50 grams of active, bubbly, whole grain starter. This is actually a mixture of rye and wheat that I freshly milled. And now I'm going to add my, this is definitely ready. Check that out. It's coming up to the edge. And this is my regular all-purpose white starter. So I'm just gonna add about 50, 60 grams of this as well. We wanna get anywhere around, like 100 grams of starter or so. So now I'm going to add our water. Now this is a room temperature to warmish water. So I'm going to add 365 milliliters of warm water. I'm just going to stir these together with a Danish dough whisk, just to mix the water with the starter before I add in my flours. Going to zero out my scale and make sure it is set to grams. And now we are slowly going to add in the flours. We need 100 grams of semolina flour. So this is fresh milled semolina flour, 100 grams. Now I'm adding 100 grams of white whole wheat flour. It's also freshly milled. I have not sifted anything out of these flours. Next, I'm adding about 50 grams of my fresh milled rye flour. And lastly, I'll be adding 300 grams of bread flour. Make sure you zero out your scale. I do like to use all organic flours when possible. And lastly, we're going to be adding about 10 grams of pink Himalayan salt. Now you can hear my dog's toenails on the floor. If it's not banging, it's toenails. Again, I'm just going to use our Danish dough whisk to mix these together. I just want to incorporate them so that they come together into like a nice shaggy dough. And then that's really going to help when we add this to the Ankarsrum and add the dough roller into it. That's about it. That's all I need to do. So now I will take our Danish dough whisk out of here. We, as you can see, are on to our Ankarsrum mixer. I have put the bowl on. Now I am adding our dough knife and the dough roller. Sorry, it's a bit tricky when I have the camera set up overhead. There we go. All right, so I have our dough roller and our dough knife. Now I have our Ankarsrum is all set and ready to go, so I'm just gonna turn it on low. We just want the dough to come together into a nice mixture. Basically kind of form like a nice ball. And this really is great for making sure that we're incorporating all of the ingredients. Use the dough knife on the sides to help guide the dough. It looks like it's coming together really nicely. It should be kind of muddy right now. So I added a hair of water because I want it to be a little bit sticky. And I haven't moved the arm in, which I can do right now. Move the arm in a little bit from the side so that it's not going back and forth too much. We're not really kneading right now. We just want it to come together, and then I'm going to let it sit. So now that it's nice, kind of a muddy texture, I'm just going to let this sit. I'm going to cover it and let it rest for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then I'm going to come back and I will give it another little bit of a whirl in the mixer, kind of like a shaping, if you will, into a ball. I'm covering this up with a damp cloth and I will be back in about 30 to 45 minutes. Okie doke, we are back and we've let the dough rest for about 45 minutes. So now I'm just going to turn the machine on to low, and I might turn it up to about medium low. And we'll just kind of let the dough knead, if you will, for about 30 seconds to a minute. Now you can really see it starting to come together. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Now my arm is still about an inch from the edge. So the dough is really utilizing the dough knife to help guide it around to the roller and back. Which is why I'm going to now start to turn this up a little bit. Let's pull it out just a hair.
adjust the arm if you need to. That's about it. And now I'm going to turn it off. That's about all we needed. Now I'm just going to let it sit for a little bit longer. I do have some stuck on my knife, so I'm just going to plop that on top because I want it to all be together. And there goes my oven. And I'm going to let this rest again for about an hour, and I'll come back and I will do this process again. This is kind of just emulating what we would naturally be doing with our hands with like a stretch and fold, but I'm utilizing the Ankarsrum instead so that I don't have to do it with my hands. So now I'm just going to cover it up with our wet towel, only because we still have the arm in here and the dough knife. I suppose I could take this out, but I don't really need to if you have a damp enough cloth. So I'm just going to put a damp cloth over top. Like so, and I'll be back in about an hour. Welcome back. I'm going to take our cloth off and make sure we can see. Okay. Now I'm just going to turn the mixer back on. I still have the arm in the center, and I'm just going to have this kind of knead the dough, if you will, for about 30 seconds to another minute. Again, we're just emulating the stretching and folding kind of via the mixer. So here we go. I'll start off slow and then increase the speed. Tighten the arm a little bit so it's not moving around so much. And I think that's about good. Let's turn it down. Just kind of playing around with kneading and, doing things I, generally haven't done before. And it's been kind of fun to experiment. Okay, so I'm just going to take these tools out, especially because we are done with our stretching and folding. And now I'm just going to let this rest throughout the night. So now I'm going to put our lid on top, and I'll see you in the morning.
All right, good morning, welcome back. We have let our beautiful dough sit overnight. Let's check it out. Oh yes, that has definitely gotten a nice rise. So one thing that I've done is, before I actually put this in the refrigerator, is given this a nice quick stretch and fold with my hands, and the crumb turned out really nice the last time I did this, so I'm just gonna do this again. If you want to skip this step, I think it would be fine, but since I have the time and I'm here, why not? So I'm just gonna go in. Oh, this looks beautiful. I'm gonna just do like a nice gentle fold, stretching. And I think this just helps to kind of give the dough a little movement and just a nice little stretching before it's actually going to have to really wake up to get shaped before we put it in the proof. The final proof, which is going to be a ferment in the refrigerator for 8 hours today. So I'm shaping this into a nice ball. I'm going to come back in an hour
and I'm gonna shape it for our proofing basket. So this just helps, again, to strengthen the dough, wake it up a little bit. We all need to wake up a little bit. And we'll come back in about an hour. Okay, welcome back. It has been an hour and we are now ready to shape our dough. So, oh yes, this looks great. So first, what we want to do is turn our dough out onto a floured surface. So I need to gently add some flour to our surface. And now we're gently going to take our dough out. Now as we're shaping our dough, I use an oblong proofing basket, so I am going to be shaping our dough in an oblong shape. I just love how you can see these little flecks from the fresh milled flour. It's so beautiful and it adds such a great flavor. So now I'm going to get out our proofing basket. I'm going to make sure it's really floured because this is going to be going in the refrigerator, so I definitely want it to have enough flour. And we are now going to line a sheet with sesame seeds. So I'm going to move our dough up just a little bit and over. Okay, great. Now with our dough set aside, I am going to lay out a towel and I'm going to sprinkle our sesame seeds on top. I have about 30 to 40 grams of sesame seeds. Let's spread them out evenly on top of our towel. And now, before I lift our dough up, I'm just going to tighten the shape. I'm going to tighten the ends on the sides using a bench scraper. And what you're going to do is spray the top, just so that the seeds will stick to the top of it. We'll lift the dough up and put it on top of our seeds, the wet side down, and then gently just pick up the cloth and slowly just kind of move the dough from side to side so that the seeds coat to get a nice layer of sesame seeds on that top. And now, once your dough is ready, we will just gently open up your towel and we will gently put it into our proofing basket. Now what's important is that we put the seeds down in the base, because once we are ready to bake, we're going to flip the dough out of our proofing basket into our clay baker or our cloche, and I want the seeds on top. All right, our beautiful baby is ready to go into the refrigerator. So I just use a plastic bag. I've got like a large Ziploc bag. You can use plastic wrap, cover it with a towel, however you choose, but essentially just to keep too much air off of it. And we will come back. It's not going to be like a huge rise or anything, so it's just a nice cold ferment before we do our final bake. So I will be back in about 8 hours for the final bake. All right, it's been 8 hours, so I'm going to take our loaf out of the refrigerator and we are going to go set it on top of our stove while our oven preheats to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm actually going to take it out of the bag. And as you're preheating your oven, you're going to want to make sure that you have your pan in your oven as you are preheating it. All right, I'll be back in about an hour to bake our bread. All right, welcome back. Our bread has been resting while the oven has been preheating to 450 degrees. Our cloches are in the oven, so I'm going to take them out. So just flip it over into the, there we go. Now we'll take a lame and just score right across the center. You can see the beautiful sesame seeds and how they're going to get nice and toasty. Sometimes you can actually hear them popping as they hit the hot cloche. There we go. Just watch the lid. And all right, we're going to pop it back into the oven. So we'll let this bake for 20 minutes, and then I am going to take the lid off and then bake it for another 35 minutes or so. So I will see you in about 20 minutes. All right, welcome back. It's been 20 minutes, so now we are going to take the cover off of our cloche. All right, watch out, hon. All right, the lid is coming off. Ooh, beautiful rise. Ooh, I can hear the sesame seeds popping a little bit. So that is looking really delicious, really good oven spring. I'm gonna close the oven up and we're gonna have it bake for about 35 more minutes. Okay, so I just checked in. We've got about 5 minutes left. I'm just gonna put a little bit of tin foil and tint it over top of the loaf because it is getting a little bit brown on top. So just for that final few minutes, don't want it to get too dark. You can just use a little tin foil and tint it. All right, timer went off. Our bread is ready. I'm gonna take it out of the oven. Oh yes, that is one beautiful loaf. And the sesame seeds look really nice. Can you get a nice shot of that? Blake's helping me film. All right, so now I'm just gonna actually take it right out of here. Watch out, hon. Take it out of the pan and bring it over to our cooling rack. And then you can kind of see how beautiful this loaf looks. All right, good morning. So I started to get a little tired last night. I'm a little bit under the weather, so we held off on breaking into our bread until this morning. So here we go. I let our bread sit and cool on a rack with a towel over top. So now we're gonna dig in and I'll show you the crumb. Here's our beautiful loaf. All right, check it out. All right, I'll just cut it right down the center for you. So here we go. Ah, check out that crumb. That is beautiful. So again, we did a much longer process this time. We used the dough roller. You know, either the dough hook or the roller are going to work really well, but check out that crumb. Beautiful, soft texture. And we used fresh milled flour. We used about 50% fresh milled flour, which is really remarkable given the way this turned out. We did a nice cold ferment overnight after a long bulk rise with a couple extra folds in there. So that whole process actually is working out really nicely. It's a little bit more labor intensive, but you know, I think the fruits of our labor paid off. All right, friends, there you have it. A beautiful toasted sesame sourdough loaf used with the Ankarsrum and the dough roller this time, and about 50% fresh milled flour. What a combination, right? I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you give it a shot. Let me know if you do in the comments. And any feedback that you have, I so appreciate. So feel free to leave any comments below, questions. As always, please like, subscribe, share. You know the drill. It's so helpful for me, and knowing what content you like makes it easier for me to create more things that are going to help you on your bread journey. So I so appreciate you, and I hope you have a great day. I will see you in the next video.